Hey guys, how's it going? Collections here, and today we're looking at another action figure review. This time we're looking at the Mcfarlane Multiverse DC 7-inch line Gotham Knights action figures. So we've got the Nightwing and Redhood in front of us. So we'll basically take a quick look at them. But before we get into that, I just wanted to thank you all for being on my channel. For people that have just found the channel, welcome to the channel. For people that have been part of this channel for longer, welcome back. If you're not subscribed, I would really appreciate if you do. That really helps out the channel. And for all of my subscribers, thank you so much for the support. So first off, we'll look at Nightwing, and he's got a really nice aesthetic. He looks really nice and lean. He's got a really good head sculpt as well. So if we can focus there, the head sculpt's really good. The figure is lean. There's a lot of sculpted details going on everywhere, which is absolutely amazing. The good thing about this figure is that the blues really break up the sculpt, and it doesn't look very bland or monotone. And because it's predominantly black, I mean, some of the details, if you're displaying it, can get hidden in the shadows, like all these ribbed parts here. You can't really see them unless you bring them up to the light. But it follows the game pretty well, the game design, and there's a lot of good details to be found everywhere. So then this action figure doesn't really disappoint at all. The only thing that I don't like about the action figure is the gappy neck, which I tried to push down. I tried to heat almost everything, and didn't really work, and it didn't really push down. But good news is he's got the scrum stick holders, which is probably part of the game design, but that is really nice. The tunic does look a little bit weird because I'm not used to seeing Nightwing with something like this on. But then in terms of the game, because you're leveling up and then basically doing stuff with the gear, I think that's what it plays into. You can probably dress Nightwing up pretty differently by the end of the game because you're unlocking things. But yeah, that looks padded, so that's good. It looks realistic. So yeah, in terms of the design and aesthetics, it follows the game pretty well and looks pretty nice. So next up we've got Red Hood, and on the other hand, from Nightwing, I feel like Red Hood is a bit too chunky. I mean, Nightwing is more of an athletic kind of like the acrobat in the family, but when I think of Jason Todd, I always think of him as being more athletic as well, like similar to Nightwing in terms of build, but just a little bit shorter. Because in Under the Red Hood, he looks pretty lean. He's kind of like just putting a jacket on and then like same kind of leanness as Nightwing. I guess that's my biggest complaint, is he looks a little bit too chunky. But then that being said, it still looks game accurate. In that game, in the trailers that I've seen, Red Hood does look a little bit chunky, so I guess it is what it is. But then other than that, there's a lot of great sculpt going on in the figure. There's absolutely nothing missed, I guess, in terms of the design. Everything is pretty detailed, pretty spot on. There's a lot of good sculpting going on, so just like with all the other Mcfarlane figures, which is really, really nice. A few things to complain about. The head sculpt does look a little bit like Deadpool and not Red Hood, so that's one thing that kind of threw me off. The chest emblem is not flush against the body. It's like a separate piece that's not glued down to places. So if I peel that up, it would probably just come up. But the hood details are pretty nice. There's a lot of sculpting details going on front, back. Another gripe I have is we've got clips for guns, for magazine, like clips for guns, but then no gun holsters. So maybe it just sticks to his thigh, but no gun holsters other than that. And also with the DC gun band, no guns as well, which I guess it is what it is. It's a DC thing, not Mcfarlane, so that's that. And the only other complaint I have is the colors are a little bit muted, so the figure does look a little bit bland, but in good lighting, it doesn't look that bad. In terms of accessories, they both come with their collector's card as well as the base, but I usually don't take them out of the packaging, so I'm not going to review them here. But Nightwing does come with his acromatics, which have a lot of detail. They're painted pretty well. There's like a grippy texture here as well. The white lines are not that bad. They're like not the smoothest, like they're not the cleanest paint, but then yeah, they're not that bad for considering it's not that expensive of a figure. Yeah, the blues are done really well and the details look spot on. And with Red Hood, disappointing. He only comes with 2 finger like gun pointing hands. which is very weird, but the details on them are really nice. The gloves look very detailed. There's like knuckle protection, there's padding on different parts of the gloves, and yeah, it looks pretty nice. But then my one gripe is he only comes with one gun holding hand. So even if you do have other action figures that you can like get the guns from, he can only hold on to one. And obviously Nightwing only comes with his grippy hands that he comes with out of the packaging. So in terms of holding their accessories, Nightwing holds on to his Eskrima sticks pretty well, and there's no issues there, which is pretty nice. But with Red Hood, because the hands, I'm not sure if they're not made for the gun, but it doesn't really hold the gun well. I mean, it looks not that bad here, but the thumb is basically pushing up, and this is like the gun from the other Mcfarlane Red Hood. But yeah, his finger is bent because because his thumb is pushing up on the gun, and yeah, I'm not happy with that. And with the finger pointing hand, it just basically looks like that. It's kind of weird. So I don't know. I mean, why would Red Hood do that? I don't know. So for the articulation, let's look at Nightwing first, and I try to put him in like a crouching action ready pose, and I think he looks pretty alright. But basically, I'll just get his Eskrima sticks out of there. But basically his head, because it's kind of gappy for me, it's got a lot of range of motion, but it really pops off easily. So that's the one downside of my figure. But it has a lot of decent articulation, so looks up pretty well, looks down very nicely, but there's a gap, which obviously sucks. But I'm not sure if it's just my figure or it would be an issue for everyone. In terms of the shoulders, they go up about that much, so it's a little bit better than 90, and they spin all the way around, no issues there. Sorry for the focus. He's got a bicep swivel and also a swivel here, but a bicep swivel and a double hinge elbow, which crunches in really nicely. The wrist peg is also really nice. It can go up and down, it can rotate all the way around, so no issues there. In terms of the body, that's how much you can get with the top part of the body articulated, and that's how much forward it can go. I'll just get his hands out of the way. So it does about that much, but with the bottom, he can't do anything. So the bottom doesn't really work. He can twist around, no issues there, but only at the top. Can he twist at the bottom? Doesn't look like it. No twist at the bottom. The thigh gap, or the thigh the thigh articulation allows for that much range of motion, which is pretty good. He can do the splits. He can kick forward about that much, which is not that bad. He can kick back a little bit as well because the bum is soft, so good range of motion there. There's no thigh swivel, so I guess that's a downside, because it looks flush and there doesn't look gappy, but then doesn't allow for any thigh swivel. But if you do that and then you swivel, it does allow for a little bit of thigh swivel. So the articulation is there, it just doesn't work. The knees can crunch up pretty well, and he can definitely kick his own bum, so no issues there. And the legs, or the ankle can go back and forth and all the way around, and there's a good pivot based on how you have it configured. But articulation, I think, is not that bad. I mean, the torso could have obviously done better, but it is what it is. So articulation on Red Hood is I guess it's articulated similarly, but let's check out the range of motion. For his head, he can look up that much, which kind of is hindered by his back thing there, but then it's still okay range of motion, less than Nightwing. He can pivot side to side, no issues there. The shoulder can go all the way up to a little bit above 90, which is good. There's a bicep swivel, a little bit more difficult to activate because it's a little bit bigger than Nightwing's bicep, but yeah, it is what it is. Double jointed elbow does pretty well, but then it does look a little bit gappy. Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, you get good range of motion from it, so at least it works even if it doesn't look the best. The wrist can go around and then hinge up and down, basically based on how you have it configured. But yeah, it can get most things done, so not that bad. The torso is where it doesn't do much, so doesn't have too much of back and forth. That's the max amount I can get even when I'm pushing it. This torso rotates at the bottom, not at the top. It can rotate at the top, but it's a little bit tighter. But it can rotate at the bottom as well, which Nightwing couldn't do. So there's that. Legs can split out that much, which is less than what Nightwing could do, but it's probably because of the sculpts going on here. The thigh swivel is harder to activate on Red Hood. It was a little bit easier on Nightwing when you have him split open, but yeah, that doesn't work well. He can kick forward about that much, so you could probably kick someone's knee out, but not higher than that. He can kick back that much, so not that much. And he's got double jointed knees, which is not that bad. So double jointed knee is pretty good. And in terms of the ankle, same thing here, back and forth, pivot, and full rotation. And purely because I forgot, Red Hood in a fighting stance. So here we have Nightwing and Red Hood standing next to Nightwing and Red Hood from the 2-pack, and I think they scale pretty well, but the comic accurate versions are actually the versions I like more. So here we have next to Nightwing the DC Multiverse Dick Grayson Batman, which isn't Nightwing but technically is Dick Grayson, so it's the same character. But because the Mattel Multiverse line is 6.5 inches, not 7, they are a little bit smaller. And next to Red Hood, we've got Jason Todd, Red Hood, which is from the Mattel Multiverse line as well. And yeah, he does look a little bit smaller. So here we have a lot of Gameverse action figures to compare next to our Nightwing and Red Hood, and also Robin from, I guess, the comics, which is Damian Wayne Robin. And yeah, Damian Wayne actually does scale really well with the other figures. The Batmans are obviously bigger. On the left there, we've got the Arkham Knight Batman, and on the right, we've got the Arkham City Batman. So they both are a little bit taller than Red Hood and Nightwing, so that works well. We've got the Arkham Origins Arkham Knight Deathstroke on the extreme left there, and he looks really good. And on the extreme right there, we've got Joker. So they basically all scale really well, and you shouldn't have any issues with scaling. So there we have it, guys, a quick look at the Nightwing and Red Hood from the upcoming Gotham Knights game. I think that these figures are really nice. I think that they're done well, but I don't relate to them as yet because I haven't played the game. But once I do play the game, maybe my mind will change a little bit. Nightwing has really good proportions and is done really well. The blue really breaks up the figure in terms of color tone, everything like that. It works really well. Red Hood, on the other hand, does look a little bit more bland and a little bit chunky, so that's not my preferred version of Red Hood. But playing with these figures, posing them around, I think that they're not that bad. I mean, we'll probably have to wait to play the game to see if we can really relate to them or not, but I think that they're so-so.